Hi, this is Majinoni. Here's my review for Brightest Day, Birds of Prey number 3, and Justice League Generation Lost number 5. I'm going to do this one first. Now, what we have is a beginning part with, there's spoilers, so if you haven't read your book, come back later. We have basically how it starts with Booster Gold got tricked into basically destroying his football career because he was betting on games and he believed somebody who offered him a way out and the guy just screwed him over. So we get that is to establish Booster Gold in case the readers didn't know that about him. And then we go to the past again where the issue left off where they're talking about Max. Now the thing is, the big thing about Max is he's like, well, the world needs heroes like you guys, so that's why reform. All my plans so far was just to reform you. So, and my real motive is to save the world also. So, we'll just be friends. And they're like, hell no, I'm not going to be your friend. And he basically warns them, saying, look, if you come after me, I'm going to kill you, and I'm better than you. And really, he really is better than them. It just, he'll probably make a mistake somewhere along the lines, and then that's how they'll win. Now, the signal's coming through this armor here, and he knows that they're trying to triangulate it, and he's like, you can't do it. Then they notice that the armor is actually booby-trapped. So they do everything in their power to actually accelerate the booby trap, and the armor is going to go critical. So Captain Atom does the only thing, and he flies off and it explodes. Well, they're kind of concerned of obviously that they didn't have the they couldn't trace him. But Blue Beetle's like, no, I was able to do it. So they go to one of the embassies so that way they can use a computer, so this way they can try to actually triangulate the data. He's saying that he bounced it off of satellites, Wi-Fi's, things like that. So they were able to figure out where he is. And what I thought was kind of interesting about the book was you had interactions between what's her name? I think Frost and Captain Atom, and it's basically talking about her hesitating and death. And he mentions what did dying feel like, and I like the part where she just pauses and she's just like cold, and you can see the cold coming out of her mouth. So this part, this was a really good scene between the two characters. Next up, you had the Red Rocket and Fire, and it was pretty much similar scene, but it's still a bit different because he's talking about capitalism and things like that. And she's like, how you're against that, but yeah, you're joining the Justice League. He's like, of course, because it's the Justice League. And pretty much they come out, Booster and Beetle come out, and they say, well, we found Max Lord, and he's at checkmate. So we get another thing of the past where it's Booster and Max's first meeting. Again, you can tell he's getting slimed again, and how he believes the sure thing, and he always gets screwed at the end. And that's what happened when he signed up with Max. So we get a team picture, and they say, we're all his enemies, we're not going to be his friends. So they go off to war, basically. So far, I can say I really liked it. I don't want to say I really, really liked it, but I just enjoyed it. Some of my enthusiasm did drop a little bit. Since I saw what his plan was, I wasn't that impressed with it. I thought the cover was really good. It's very confident Max Lord, and I think the art was okay. It's not the greatest, but the art's fine, and it's something I can live with. And overall, like I said, overall, it's still enjoyable. Next up is Birds of Prey number 3. Now, I can really, how do I want to say this? I can really feel, I can really appreciate the Penguin and his twisted mind. And if it wasn't for Gail Simone writing this, I might say, well, it's some guy's twisted fantasy. But what happens here is you have the birds, and you're like, oh, it's so hot in here. Let me take off my clothes. And Penguin's like, it's a crisp 40 degrees. You should do whatever you want, like kiss me and with your alcohol breath and things like that. And they're all like, oh, that's not fair. Save some for me. And it's all just cheesecake everywhere. But I thought what was kind of funny is you have this picture here where they're all just going gaga over the Penguin, and then it focuses on Hawk, and Hawk's like, hey, don't look at me, man. So I thought that part was kind of funny. So what was really jacked up part is when you come back to reality, where you see the Penguin and he's hugging this imaginary person with his tongue sticking out, and he's talking about how he's the Penguin. He's got a penguin party in his pants, and just the thought of a penguin party in your pants is kind of jacked up. So now what we have is we have Hawk watching out, and he's saying there's a bunch of cops zooming by everywhere. It's a matter of time before they get caught. And Oracle and Black Canary are basically comparing notes to see what happened, and she's basically relocating to like a more secure place. You have Penguin waking up, and he attacks the Huntress, and Oracle mentions that Savant and those guys got killed. And so Black Canary's like, what the hell's going on? Now, while the Penguin part's going on, you have Dove going, hey, give me that. You don't really want to be doing this. And then you see Penguin going, yeah, I guess you're right. I don't want to do that. So I thought that was kind of like a really cool way of ending the battle. Or not really a battle, but, the interaction with that. And then you have Black Canary asking how she does this. He's like, hell if I know. God only knows. Well, anyways, the tank comes crashing through. And then Oracle's like, hey, I thought you were watching the police scanners. And she's like, I am. Those aren't cops. Those are those are road cops. Because they're not using their normal line, phone things. Communication. Well, the battle here was okay. It's kind of tough to do because you have a limited number of pages. They're just cops, rogue cops, I should say, and there's too many characters floating around. And you really don't want to show a lot of this because it's kind of one-sided. It's not very interesting. And then we find out that Savant and Coyote, or whatever his name is, they're alive. Then we go back to the Penguin, and he's having another one of these twisted fantasies, and he's talking about being a mermaid in the desert, and they're like, what does that mean? And Hawk's like, well, that pretty much means he's out of place, and they think he's dying. Well, they finish off everything, and the dagger's thrown. Hits Hawk, pierces him, he loses his powers, and he collapses. And there's a note that says choose. Now, some people may think that it's choosing between Hawk and then Penguin, but what I think it is, it's you have to choose between Hawk and Oracle. See, because right now Oracle's down, and they know Oracle's down, they just don't know what's going on with her. And they're not, I don't think they're really picking up on that, because the whole team basically are taking Hawk and Penguin to the hospital. Now over here you have Savant and those guys, and they're talking about how they basically got into the cave and how they're basically shut her down, and their plan is basically they're going to expose Oracle to the world and show everything that she's done. Then we have like a final goodbye between Huntress and Black Canary. While they leave, Black Canary's going to stay behind to fight the White Canary. She, through a process of elimination, she knows it's not Silva, and she knows that it's not Cassandra Cain. She's getting her butt kicked, and then she finally realizes who it is, because she goes, no, I am but a poor village girl, Miss Rance. Let's see, where do you suppose I got the money for this operation? So I think what she is she's the daughter that she tried to adopt and abandoned. Something happened where she's older now, and that's why she's looking like that. And overall, I really, really like this. The story's moving pretty fast now. The action's moving good, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. I think regardless what happens with Oracle, I think she's going to come back. You're going to see like a whole new revised Oracle, like times 10 betterness. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with both books so far. Enthusiasm dropped a little bit here, but enthusiasm is still pretty high here. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it on the side. And subscribe to the channel. And until next time.